Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese 446. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
Mark Augustiniak.
What's up?
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week, Season 10 continues. We are talking and ranking another game. The game this week is Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. More on that later. We've also, actually, I think most of our segments this week are all going to tie back into Metal Gear Solid in one way or the other, except for our maybe final round of Who Would Win in a Fight Special Sidekick Edition. Stay tuned for that and more. First, went to a concert this week, and on the drive home was very much like, boy, I could go for a Gatorade. And took the highway exit to get home. There's like the main way I can go, or there's a secret way that kind of like dumps you back on some back roads, and then you can kind of like dump off into a gas station what has Gatorade. So we opted for that one. And there was, much like Mark's favorite scene at the end of Armageddon, there were like, I'm not exaggerating, like 26 kids walking straight up the street toward the car, like in the middle of the road, whatever. And as I'm driving, I'm like, oh, these are all just like soft boy lacrosse kids. Like you could tell just from afar, like the lax bro, just like whatever, you know, because it was like 10:30 at night. I didn't know if this was like, all right, these kids are about to throw stuff at my car because I'm the only car on the road. I didn't know if it was that kind of thing. What are we dealing with here? And then you look, and it's like, okay, these are just... So they migrate over, get right on the sidewalk, and we continue on and go into said gas station. No Gatorade, no Powerade. There's just nothing. I think those kids wiped the whole gas station out. Like, the entire sections were completely empty from front to back. There was one crooked bottle where like someone in a frenzy had like tried to get it and then left that one behind, of muscle milk, which I've learned from Mark is not muscle milk. What's the bad one that body armor? You told me to avoid body armor, right?
Did you get it?
There was like one of those crooked and stuck in a corner somewhere where someone like probably was going to, but then just couldn't. But like,
as most cursed items are found, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess this is a weird opener, but like, have you ever witnessed the crime like before it happened, or like, I don't know, like seeing those kids, like in hindsight now I'm very aware of why there were 30 lacrosse kids walking up a street with bags in their hands. But have you ever been just craving something, you went to get it, and the one thing you wanted was not there?
To the latter portion, I feel like that's the constant. He's like just trying to find whatever you're in the mood for, and then it's not there. Then it's like, all right, well, now what do I have to settle for? Or do I settle at all? You know what? There's, I think, depending on a Target that I go to, because it's become like one of my like spots for grocery shopping for some reason. Because the local grocery stores by me just sometimes don't carry like certain like protein bars or stuff like that. Which is weird, but okay. Yeah, but like depending on a Target, I realize only some sell Star Crunches. Have you ever had those?
Star Crunch, is that the like, it's not Pocky, but it's kind of like Pocky?
No, it's like it's a chocolate covered like rice cake kind of thing.
Oh, Little Deborah's.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I gotcha.
So I shouldn't have those, but if it's there, it's hard to fight the temptation. It's just like a nostalgic thing. But as far as little frozen pizzas go, Celeste, right? For me, top of the game. Because it's like $2 to $3 usually for like one little pizza. You can get a bunch of those and just live off of that if you needed to for a week. They're like nowhere to be found. Every time, and I keep going to the same stores thinking it's going to pop up, and it never pops up. It's just not there. And I see other little microwavable pizzas, but they're like $5. I'm like,
yeah,
that's a whole Little Caesars pizza if you are daring.
A hot and ready.
Yeah, the Mama Celeste, like, when I worked in a grocery store, they would go on sale 10 for 10. I mean, this is when we were in high school, so
fucking good, right? Like, that's...
Do they still do the 10 for 10 sale on that? I don't...
If I could find it, I would let you know, but I just don't think they just don't even, like, carry them. Like, it's like... It's like I'm like mentally asking Target every time I go to the frozen food section, do you have it? And they're just giving me this dumb look like, what?
So it's not even like a hole in the aisle of like, this is where Mama Celeste should be.
Right. It's now it's just replaced with like DiGiorno and like other brands I'm not fully aware of, but they're just, it's like $5 or more. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it defeats the purpose at that point.
So yeah,
I'm going to be on the lookout then every store I go into, and I will alert you to both pricing and location.
Yeah,
you got to factor in the current inflation rates right now.
Yeah, if I find Mommy, I will let you know.
Yeah, any listeners that also find any sweet Celeste deals, at @aug_mental, please. Twitter.
Yeah. Matt, have you ever gone a reaching and not been able to walk out with what you wanted?
The most disappointing thing in the world is whenever you go to Taco Bell and they tell you they're out of Baja Blast. That's like...
Why am I even here? Cancel the order.
Like,
I'm going.
Like, yeah, I'm like stuck in the drive-thru and I'm like, I'd rather not order and just wait out my exit than order.
Yep.
It just, the whole...
I don't even want a refund. You guys can keep the money.
Like, sure, give me the substitute Mountain Dew. Like, how dare you?
Okay. See, I was going to ask you, what is your backup? And is it regular Mountain Dew? Because I do the same thing, but sometimes I don't...
It sucks.
Right, but...
I mean, I like Mountain Dew, but in that scenario, it's like the worst thing.
Right? Because you know you're settling for less, and it feels dirty. Yeah. But sometimes I won't even get soda. I know, like, sacrilege to not get Baja Blast, but sometimes...
Well, you still got those 3 in the refrigerator, right?
Yeah.
You know, I forgot about that. You just brought it up. No, but sometimes I would get pink lemonade. Because, like...
Or did you get the hard lemonade? Because what happened in the boardroom that day?
Right. But, but like, if sometimes they don't have pink lemonade, and it's like, well, what do I do? What's my backup? It's like...
Tea?
Right. But yeah.
Yeah, there's not a good answer. The regular Mountain Dew is probably the answer. The problem with that one is every time you go to sip, if you look at the cup, you immediately are mad because you remembered that it's yellow and not green. And if you don't look and you just take a blind sip, it's like there's still a bit of the Mountain Dew tang in both of them. There's like a common flavor, right? So you're like, something's here, and then you realize it's not. It's a very complicated brain.
And then it's worse when they don't put ice in it and they just throw it at you.
Yeah, I mean...
3 times?
It sucks. I don't know if you guys have ever been exposed to the stories from people who like do health inspections or like clean out those ice machines and how disgusting that is. Like, I think it was something like 95% of McDonald's have 100% fecal matter in every ice machine. Like, just fun facts like that.
I heard something similar. I don't know if it's true, but with Yoo-hoo plants, when they produce Yoo-hoo, like, they do it outdoors, apparently. Which already sounds like a lie to me, but I believed it for a second. And so, like, every batch has, like, a certain percentage of, like, flies and other bugs in it and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. But that, like, think about it. When's the last time when's the last time you've been in a McDonald's to sit down and have a meal? But I guess, like, do you imagine anyone is actually climbing up in there and cleaning out the top of the ice machine? Because they just pour ice in the top of that thing indefinitely.
Oh,
right. No one's getting in there and cleaning
every
it
night.
out.
The valued, hard-working employees at McDonald's are in there every night. I trust it.
If you are a McDonald's employee, please write in podcast@thefreecheese.com and let us know when the last time the ice machine was cleaned. But
and
that said, knowing that,
let us know your tenure as well.
That too, yeah. Like, I still am mad when I don't get ice. The aforementioned Mark scenario, like, if I ever get a drink from Taco Bell, what doesn't have ice in it, I'm mad. Even though there's part of my brain that's like, this was a win. I didn't put something foreign inside of me today, so that's a plus.
I say build the immune system.
No, I'm with
that
you.
Fecal matter in the ice is the cure to COVID, or helps the antibodies, or science. I have a hypothesis. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of foreign insiders, we are talking about Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty this week. Game first released November 13th, 2001. Funnily enough, first released here in America before Japan. I think a lot of games, people today may commonly. I don't know why common is stuck in my head. Is common written on the screen somewhere and I keep reading it by accident? Today, video games are usually released simultaneously, right? It's very rare that a video game comes out that is not a global release or within a day or two of, one another, where
it's not really region specific now. It's just more like timed exclusive of platforms or something.
Right.
At most.
But then it was the normal thing to have, delayed, because it took time to translate, and now they bake translation and stuff into the actual timeline, and things are a lot different. Anyway, we got it first in America for the PlayStation 2, developed by Konami, published by Konami. Similar games that if you have not played this, you might want to look into, or if you have played this and you're looking for more, I would say Metal Gear Solid, Police Knots, and probably Bomberman, but more on that later. From the back of the box, Solid Snake is back in the latest installment of the critically acclaimed series from director Hideo Kojima. Top secret weapons technology is being mysteriously transported under cover of an oil tanker to an unknown destination. Armed with an arsenal of new weapons, supplies, and stealth maneuvers, it's up to Snake to infiltrate the transport and keep this deadly weapon of mass destruction from falling into the wrong hands. So I'm going to say real quick before we go too far. If you have not played Metal Gear Solid 2, if you do not know much about Metal Gear Solid 2 outside of the aforementioned tanker, I don't know. You might. It's one of those things where, I don't know, much like Final Fantasy VII, it's like video games' worst kept secret, and it's, there's some twists and turns in this game that I think are video game common knowledge now, but again...
I mean, I would think so.
If you're in the dark completely, maybe play this if this is one of those, especially if this is one of those ones where you're like, man, I'm going to play that game one day. Maybe don't go too far. Here, save this one. It'll be here. We're not going to take it down, I promise. You can come back to it. You can listen to last week's episode about Valis 3 again. You can just wait a week, come back and listen to next week's episode about a game we'll announce at the end of this episode. But yeah, I mean, Metal Gear Solid 2. So, this is a weird one to talk about for that reason. So I guess what I kind of want to do before we do anything with this is, what was your initial, because this was like one of those cultural moments for us as kids, right? Like when this game came out, there was like the Ocarina of Time and the Mario 60, like this was one of those, like and it felt like that back then. Yeah, I didn't play the first one, but I remember when this one was coming out, a friend of mine bought Zone of the Enders just to get the demo for this. And my brother and I played that demo at that kid's house for hours, dude. We would just load it back up from the beginning and start over again. Like just the physics and the way that like they built this weird little puzzle box for you to play with, right? Like the stuff you could do. And still now, like having played the game a bit, like the stuff that they built in as like mechanics of gameplay that things you can interact with, like if you just do this in this one spot, something happens, like all of those little details like really make up something that on the surface seems like a stealth action game, but it is just like a goofy, like there's so many weird little like things about this game that are peppered in that I think still stand out. But yeah, like for me, I remember that ship, like being on the tanker as Snake, going through, playing around with like how much could you get away with in terms of knocking someone out, hiding them in a locker, hiding yourself in a locker, using a box for cover, all of those things that you got to do as Snake. I thought were always, I don't know, that stands out to me. And then when the game actually came out, I don't remember much of it. I don't even remember my friend playing it, if he did. I just remember that demo of playing it. And then through the years, this is always like the one you kind of, like this was the one, right? I don't know. I
don't think this wasn't on my radar at all growing up.
Really?
Like, not a lot of my friends probably played Metal Gear, like, at this point. Also, a lot of other games came out that might have gained more attention than this game. Like, Halo came out, like, 2 days after.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 3 a month before.
That's what we were playing.
Smash Brothers and Melee. Like, there was a lot to compete with, I think. And also just growing up in more of a Nintendo household than anything. Yeah, I only heard about Metal Gear just through ads in magazines, or there might be like a little clip on G4 of something, but just completely missed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird that friend of mine did play this because I felt like his mom was pretty protective about what he was exposed to. And when this came out, we would have been 12. And I mean, yeah, I still remember. Very, very restrictive. So it is surprising that something like this would have made it there. But yeah, Matt, what about you? Was this at the time?
I got to this much later. Probably towards the more so middle of the PS2 era. Forgot how I even got my hands on it. My godmother, her husband used to like try to give up video games for a couple weeks during Lent, and what he would do to try to help him, he would give me some of his games during that time or whatever. And I think one of those times when I got Metal Gear Solid 2, and this has got to be a couple years, and maybe Snake Eater is already out at this point, honestly, like that late. Yeah, and then I don't know, like I have seen Metal Gear Solid like through. I never played it at that point. But yeah, I got to this late. So again, it was on the radar. I remember that EGM. I remember that magazine. Like that just looks familiar. I don't remember reading it, but I remember it. I remember having I think it was a later EGM that had the walkthrough of the demo, and I remember just like not playing the game, but reading through that walkthrough and seeing how cool, like how impressive the game looked and everything like that, and just. And it was like one of those things I knew I wanted to get to at some point, and then when it finally kind of landed on my doorstep, thus started my love of Metal Gear.
Yeah, this was the one that sold Matt on Metal Gear.
Yeah, I guess. This is the first one I actually played. Again, like I knew Metal Gear, I kind of loosely knew the story, not quite like I do now, but yeah, this is the first Metal Gear Solid game that I played and finished. Yeah, this was years ago. God, this came out in 2001. I wouldn't be shocked. Like 2004 or 3 is when I finally played this game.
And since then, I mean, it's right now not available, but they had brought this to PS3 and 360 through the HD collection. It also ended up on Vita. I guess, did it also hit PC in that, like at some point on Steam?
Not that I saw. Like,
I don't think so.
GOG has like the first game, but
yeah,
I don't know about the second one.
Yeah, that's a bad port though. That PC one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess it's only console, and now you can't really get it on console because it's been delisted.
So it's funny. I think we for listeners, I mean, we know every game we're going to play this year for this season, and we built the list November-ish. Like, we were pretty locked in around then. Like, we were making some final tweaks and stuff like that, but these games got delisted, I want to say, on like a Sunday night or a Monday night, and Matt put this on the list Tuesday morning. Like, it was not that whatever, but it was basically like right around there, in that chunk. But I was super excited that you did put this on the list, because I'd never gone back through them. Like, and one of the first games I remember when I got my Vita, when they added PlayStation 1 Classics to Vita, that I wanted to play was Metal Gear Solid. And it was one of the ones where you could not just natively download it on the Vita. You need to put it on a PS3, plug the Vita in, and transfer it via cable. And I did that so I could play it. And every time I've tried to play Metal Gear Solid 1, I just couldn't get into it. It wasn't fun. I didn't get it. I didn't have a great time. I don't know what it was. And then it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve, just, a few months ago, knowing that Metal Gear 2 was on our list. I was like, all right, it's time. I got to do this. So I played through Metal Gear 1. And it's weird because, like, now playing through Metal Gear Solid 2, I didn't have The Sopranos as a backdrop like I did playing through Metal Gear Solid 1, because we were simultaneously marathoning all of that. So it felt weird not having woke up this morning, get yourself a gun in the background. Punctuating the cutscenes of Metal Gear, but I played through Metal Gear 1 finally. Like, this got me to do that, and I loved that game a lot. And playing through this one, I think this might be the part, listeners, if you're like, I don't know, man, you guys haven't said anything that's too spoilery yet, so we're going to do that now. You play this game and you play a Snake for the first bit, and I felt like I grew so attached to Snake in Metal Gear Solid 1, because why wouldn't you? That's the character. All of the marketing for this game, the box art, the
back of the box,
like everything is
that
Solid
line,
Snake.
Like, that description you just read, I completely forgot like how
it's all Solid Snake. And then you play it, you get through that tanker bit, which is only like about an hour. I mean, you could spend some time. Again, you could spend 15 hours in that tanker if you want to.
Also spend like 15 minutes if you know what you're doing. Not long at all.
Exactly. And yeah, then you're riding for the whole rest of the game. Which I guess was one of those things that made people mad way back when, but I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't mad, but I definitely feel like, well, wait a sec.
I think the bigger middle finger is, Pliskin is hanging around too. Like, he's involved, so it's like, why aren't you him?
Yeah, like, he keeps popping up. And they keep saying that, like, Snake died in the first. You know what I mean? Like, there's all of those things where it's like, wait, what? Did he? I don't remember him dying at the end of 1. Like, what are you guys talking about? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this game, it definitely, like, it feels different than 1 did. Like, 1 felt grounded in comparison to 2, even though 1 was certainly not grounded. But yeah, 2's already, like, just so weird, even, like, within the first few hours of riding. I don't know. And yeah, I don't know what all to say about this game, like, whole stop. I think that a couple things. Maybe I get the gripes out of the way first. Can I do that? And then we can just talk about the fun stuff.
Sure.
Like, gripes. And I've since, like, reread the manual to make sure, like, exactly what I'm supposed to do, and I've confirmed my suspicions. But you need to come to a complete stop behind an enemy before pressing square to take them out. Because if you are at all 1 degree pushing that analog stick, you are going to do a shoulder throw for them and not knock them out. I've alerted guards so many times. Now, if you're quick enough, you can, like, as they're getting up from the shoulder throw, you can 1-2 kick them and knock them out, hopefully. But it's not, I don't know. I found that the controls were touchy in a way that I didn't love. And it led to some frustrating moments of, no, I didn't mean to do that. Why are you doing that? This sucks. Stealth things where like, I think that you can see where the evolution of like the camera angle or use of camera, I should say, in this space, in 3D space. You can see that from Metal Gear 1 to 2, but it's still not perfect as the player, where like you don't have full control of where the camera is, and therefore you don't always know when you're hidden or not. So there's moments like that where it's like, okay, I'm ducking, they can't see me, and then they can see you. They're on the way. And some of it just still feels clunky. And I think that maybe over time I could get better, but I think also you're not supposed to get caught, and that's the thing where I'm running into the most trouble is I'm getting caught for one reason or another, and then the controls to get uncaught or to try and scurry away stink. And like things like getting shot in this game suck. Like you get shot, you are down, and you're not getting back up until Raiden wants to get up, and it just, I don't know, it slows progress a lot. To that end, I also decided, I don't know if acute listeners could hear me fumbling around with the actual box, but knowing that this was there, like I've been trying to, for this season, anything I can actually, if I don't already own it, I'm trying to pick up a physical copy of it. And this was one where like right away I just grabbed it, ordered it on ebay.com from a fantastic seller whose name I don't remember. And it was great because I have the manual, and this manual is like thick. It's like more pages than a standard comic book with ads. And there's a lot in it, and there is actually a comic book in it. But like, I'm playing this on original hardware, and I've not had many problems with this PS2 that I can remember. But like, one, I don't think was the PS2's problem. So there's a sequence early on where you need to, you get coolant, and then you have a thing that detects someone's cologne smell, which again, that's how like weird and cool this game is. And you work your way around to try and defuse these bombs across 6 different little stations, so to speak. And in doing so, I think one night when I first did it, I got through like the first half of them, and I had spent a good amount of time like carefully taking everybody out in each section, exploring to find any ammo, any secrets, all of that stuff, whatever. And it was like, all right, I think I'm done for the night. I'm going to save, turn it off. And saving in this game, like you use the codec, which is still novel. And okay, actually, another gripe with this game. It's not as novel to me in this game as it was in the first game. And maybe that's just because of familiarity. But I think also like the 3D models in the codec, I don't like as much as the static images. Although I do appreciate that you can fiddle around with the joysticks while they're talking and move them. But
did you hit the shoulder buttons during it?
Oh, no, I didn't know there was a shoulder button thing.
I thought it was a glitch for a second, but like if you hit R1 or L1, like at least I did it in the beginning, and Snake was just dropping in just different one-liners while Otacon was talking. He'd be like, yeah, right, or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, what?
Oh, I need to go back.
Why is this a thing?
Yeah. I want to revisit that. But no, like that, I saved the game, I turned the game off, and I think it was a couple days before I came back to it. When I came back to it, I was back at the beginning of the bomb defusal. Like, I had done 3 of them. I had thoroughly searched those things, and it did not checkpoint them. And I was like, okay, that sucks.
That should have
Maybe
worked.
I didn't save.
That should have worked. That should have worked, because I've saved in the middle of those bombs. And
Are you on PS2?
No, I mean, I was playing on Xbox, sorry, the HD collection, but like you have to save the same way.
I know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
That should have worked, because I've definitely saved in the middle of all that diffusing.
Yeah, because it's a pretty long section. So
yeah,
maybe I didn't save. Like I'm not gonna rule out that, but I know that whatever it was, like I went back to it and it was not whatever. So I'm like, man, this stinks. So I go back through, and now I'm like hurrying my way through because I didn't want to like retread too much ground. I get to the end of it, and yeah, I mean, I do one of the coolest boss fights in video game history, where Kojima decides, what if we just made a Bomberman game, and you fight Fat Man as Raiden, and he's roller skating on a rooftop, placing bombs on a grid that you need to go defuse before they like
sipping out of a martini glass.
So good. It just it made me want to see more classic video games like reimagined like that. Like that's a neat idea. I get through that and whatever, I keep going forward, blah 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 blah. And I died at some point. I'd saved it after the fight, got a little bit further, and then died at some point trying to sneak through and whatever, and then like the game crashed. And when I reloaded it, like put me all the way back before this. It's just like little things like that like checkpoint wise just sucked, that were not fun. But I don't know, I'm nitpicking at this point, but it was like those kind of things that like I felt like it's also, I think, a bit of this is what we used to have to deal with, right? Like so many games now, like you take 5 steps and you see it saving in the bottom right corner, or you open a menu and close a menu and it's saving in the bottom right corner. Like we're so spoiled with that stuff that not having it, because I ran into that a lot with Metal Gear 1, just like a lot of the restarts and things like that you're just, inherently going to do. But I've talked a lot. I do like this game. I feel like I led there with a little bit of my complaints, but I do like this game and have had fun, but I don't want to dominate as I have. So, Matt, I mean, you did them all, man. Like, you decided for this, you weren't just going to play Metal Gear 1 and then 2. You were going to just play all of them plus Peace Walker.
Yeah, I don't know what, because I never played 3. So I was like, all right, well, this is the best time to go to 3. And I was like, I haven't played 4 in a bit, and I'm due. And then I was like, well, shit, I never finished Peace Walker, although I was right at the end. I don't know why I didn't. I was literally at the last mission on my save. Don't understand why I stopped playing that. And then I never finished 5. I got through, like, the first chunk of 5, but I never did, like, the second half of that. Well, it's not half, I guess, but, like, the second segment of that story. So, yeah, I ran through it all in, like, 2 months. Yeah. But, no, Metal Gear Solid 2 specifically, like I said, it was the first one that introduced me to the series, gameplay-wise. It's weird. It's cool, though. I like the storytelling in this game. And, like, especially the first 3 Solid games, how they, like, it's very codec focus with the cutscenes, and it feels like after every corner there's a cutscene and whatever. Like every once in a while it starts to get in the way, but for the most part, like I like the over explanation, especially as this game starts to unfold story wise towards the end. The over explanation helps at times. But yeah, no, I like the gameplay. Like you said, this is very much. It's very much, stay hidden. If you're playing this as an action game, you're not going to get far. You could do it, but it's not going to be the best experience. Also, like that this game introduced non-lethal runs. So in Metal Gear Solid 1, you're stuck with regular weaponry, but in this game, you're given a trank gun, and with the different ways to do in CQC, which is the close quarters combat, which is where you grab guards and have the 80,000 different button combinations of what you can do with them. You can do non-lethal runs, which I think is awesome. And you see that in the boss fights too. Like the boss fights have a health bar and a stamina bar. And if you know how to CQC or do trank, use a trank gun, like, yeah, you can very much do that and get like one of those cool higher grade things at the end of the game where you get, it's not like an S rank, but like you get ranked based on like, I think animals or big boss or, something like that. So you can get an increased ranking by going non-lethal. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's fun. It's so over the top. And this is, and like you said, Joe, like this is the game where like Shadow Moses, for as ridiculous as of a series of events that game is still somewhat grounded compared to this game and where this goes. And I think this was the one that like set in motion I don't know how to put together a Metal Gear Solid timeline for you. This definitely put the pieces in order Snake Eater did it no favors by putting foundation on things that have already been established, and then tied it all again. Like I said, this started what turns into the complicated, lovely mess that is the timeline of Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I love it. This sparked my interest in the series, and yeah.
Mark, this was your first Metal Gear, yes? Well,
yes. Officially, I would like to say yes. Even though technically the first Metal Gear I ever tried was Twin Snakes.
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely have put more time into Metal Gear 2 than I have Twin Snakes. So I think I can comfortably say Metal Gear 2 is technically more my
but you also
experience.
had Revengeance, right?
Yeah, but no.
I know it's not a solid. Yeah,
like as far as mainline goes, yeah, this is my introduction for the most part. Even, like, I've always been aware of the series and like I know all the story bits and stuff, but yeah, I've never actually like really played a Kojima game.
and it's weird going back to them, like being on the outside of it and hearing everyone for so long always talk about how crazy and how like it's this, it's that, it's all these like things. Like going back to this, like have you gone back at all to like Psychonauts or not Psychonauts, Police Knots or what was his other one?
Snatcher.
Which one?
Snatcher? Was that him?
Snatcher. Yeah, thank you.
I never played.
I thought you said Hat Trick for a second. I was like, what?
I never played either of those either, but I really want to.
But like going back to those, like I haven't played all the way through, but just like toying around with them, like it does feel like something different. Like I don't know. I think that for a while it felt like Kojima was getting this, I don't know, that kind of elevated status, and it felt weird being on the outside and saying like, really, like is it that? But like once you get into it, it's like, no, yeah, he thinks a bit differently about storytelling, and you know, I think that the idea that like someone can easily confuse this between a game and a movie,
yeah. I mean, I know like there's all those like the memes or whatever about Kojima and like long cutscenes and basically movies and all that, but like he really has a love and a passion for like for the cinema, and it heavily shows throughout these games. And I really think he should one day just like if he made a whole movie, and I know like trying to avoid the Metal Gear jokes as much as possible with it, but like if he actually did make a movie and it was all just using a game engine, I would watch it. Like it doesn't have to be like Unreal, super realistic, like CG that we see in every movie, right? Like if he just used, like even today, if he made a whole movie just out of like a PS2 asset, I would still watch it because just the way that he presents it is such a like it keeps you wanting to go in. Like it keeps you wanting to be invested. The only like obstacle that I ever really run into is like it's my own like experience with video games and like kind of knowing what certain things mean when you see things in a game. Like for example, like you go from a pre-rendered cutscene to a in-game cutscene. When you get to the in-game cutscene, it usually implies that you're about to play.
Yep.
And then instead, it turns into a codec call, and then it goes back to another pre-rendered cutscene, and then you can play for like 5 minutes, and then it'll go. You know what I mean? But like, so it's little things like that my brain is like, all right, yeah, you're gonna do this now, and then like, it doesn't happen. I'm like, oh, okay, you're not done yet. Sorry, I'll let you finish. And
it's like when you put your shoes on and you open the drawer to like, because the drawer is the same place where you have the dog leash and the trash bags, and you're just doing it to grab a trash bag, but the dogs are excited that you think it might be walk time. Yeah,
it's stuff like that. But like again, like that's not really like I think that it's just how me and just how I work usually. But yeah, like if it was all just one pre-rendered cutscene, right? I would watch it the crap out of it. Like it's cool. I love the way that characters are introduced. I love how the camera angles, like everything feels intentional. Nothing feels out of place. Nothing feels accidental. It feels polished, like right out the door, gameplay or otherwise. Like I am very impressed with that, and it's no wonder he is where he's at now.
Exiled from Konami?
Oh, well, as soon as I said that, I was like, crap, that sounds...
I know what you mean. I equate playing through the Metal Gear games, this one too, with reading Grant Morrison's work, because there's this, like, density to it. Like, I don't know. Grant Morrison stuff, I felt like when I ever started reading Grant Morrison's work, he already knows everything about the story he's telling. He knows things that he's never going to tell you. He knows things that he's going to tell you in 16 issues. He knows things that just everything top to bottom. And you read it as the reader, and the first issue or the first bit, and the same thing I felt it here, like you're so confused and overwhelmed because there is so much background to everything you're doing, and you're trying to like grasp on like what is it, and you really don't see, the entire picture until you're at the end of it. But much like Morrison, where he embraces the comic book medium, I feel like Kojima embraces video games for storytelling. Like there are things he's doing here that you couldn't do in a movie, that you couldn't do, and you also couldn't do if it were just a video game. Like he does something more than the two. Like there's a combination of both that I think works really, really well.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it just reminded me like that first cutscene, right? Snake, he's just walking through a city with like a raincoat, poncho, whatever, and then like they like carefully show and like explain that his cloaking ability got malfunctioned and he can't use it, and it's like, well, like how fun would that have been, like if you were to just do that? So it's like, okay, so it's like you could have went through this whole game like as soon as you see it happen, it's like, oh, I could just be stealth this whole time probably in this game, right? I could just use this camo. But then by the time you're done watching, like, oh, all right, here comes the game reason why you're not doing that. And then but yeah, like that couldn't be done if it was just like a full movie. Like Kojima needs the audience participation as well. Like that's just as important with everything. It makes it unique.
Yeah, it's again one of the ones on the list that I was super, super stoked to get into. And one that I didn't finish before we were recording, which because I felt like I wasn't, after the crashes and the resets and stuff, it was like, I'm not going to get through it, but it's one that I wanted to make sure I take my time with and really like enjoy it as I'm supposed to enjoy it. Because that's how Metal Gear 1 felt. Like I felt like I could enjoy that at its own pace.
It's definitely asking for like your full attention.
And it deserves it too, I think. Like few games do, but this is one that definitely stands out that.
Sorry, I was just saying, like, I think that's something that should be considered more with video games when people are looking for something to play, or just in general. Like, I think having the right mindset ready for it. So, well, not all the time. Sometimes it's just nice to be surprised. But if you're looking to like actually invest, like I feel like some games should, when it comes to like reviewing or something like that, I think people should acknowledge that part of it more. Like, this is not something you just want to like rush through. Like, there's a lot to chew on here. You should try to actually chew it and digest it properly.
I also think like everything sucks now. Generally, like we're in a bad time. And I don't mean it like things are so much better. Like I said, when's the last time a modern video game hard crashed on you, or you saved and it didn't, like any of that stuff? Like those things don't happen too frequently with modern video games, like, which is surprising because of how much more complicated they are and how wild all the systems strung together are. But there's this thing now, I think also there's this societal pressure of the video game community of like, I don't look at, I don't know, Mark, Matt, you were in no matter what, but like, Mark, did you feel the pressure to run out and get Elden Ring a month ago?
I didn't feel the pressure then. I knew as soon as this game was getting announced, I just already knew that the crowd was louder than the game. Like, and that usually deters me. So I have to like, I have to mute words on Twitter. I have to like try to avoid it as much as I can because I know that people are going to be louder than the game. And when the game can't speak for itself, I don't want to invest in it.
See, that's exactly where I think we're at, right? Where today the crowd is louder than the game. It's such a good phrase for it, where Metal Gear Solid 2 is louder than the crowd. Always has been, always will be. However, if it came out today, it wouldn't be. And I think the thing that made it stand out back then is the fact that it was. Well, I mean, it was relegated to the time. Like, we did not have social media. The best you were going to have is like an AIM chat room or something with somebody or whatever, where you're going to talk about this or read about it on some forum or whatever. But this was not competing for attention in the same way that things are today. This was not like, I don't know. It didn't need to consider all of these other factors that we have to worry about today. And I think you could just let yourself get lost. There's this kind of like, I don't know, paralysis of choice that we have now, where there's so many options of what to play and what to whatever. And there's so many factors for playing a game now, other than just, I want to play this game. It's, I want to be a part of the conversation. I don't want to miss out. I want to get the best out of this hardware that I chased down for a year and spent a bunch of money. Like, there's so many things that weigh into playing games now that, again, sucks.
Yeah. And I realized, like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, we didn't have that. Like, I appreciated this game being able to start the game, and I was playing the game. I know we just talked about cutscenes and etc., but like, dude, I tried out that Stranger of Paradise demo, and I was super stoked for Stranger of Paradise. When we got to the point where it was like, all right, dude, you're going to spend $60 on Elden Ring or Stranger of Paradise, I went with Stranger of Paradise. I didn't buy it because I played the demo, and the first, I don't know, whatever, it's got that Xbox 360 tutorial area crap where like you can't do anything because it stops you and tells you how to use the left stick to walk forward. And then you walk forward 2 steps and it tells you to hit square to punch or whatever the stupid thing is. And it's like, man, like Metal Gear Solid 2 was so refreshing, being able to just like start the game and be utterly confused as to what to do until I paused it, pulled the manual out of the box, and then thumbed through it. Like that, I missed that so much.
Yeah. I was just gonna add to what I said earlier. Like, I know it sounds a little like hipsterish to like, oh, just avoid the mainstream game going on. And I've always kind of done that, but not ever really like intentionally. It was never like out of spite or anything. It was just not what, like, a lot of like AAA things just, especially around like the 360 era, there's a lot of like sameness about them that just deterred me. Like, it just didn't stand out to me. So I just didn't feel, but that goes without saying that like, I still do play some of those games. Like, if there's a popular game coming out, obviously, like, if a Zelda game comes out, you know that's going to be talked about. Yeah. People are going to be way louder than that game, right? Like, of anything.
But to be fair, you did hate Breath of the Wild at first.
I did. I did. Yeah.
My final question on Metal Gear Solid 2 is Jack and Rose a Titanic thing?
I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked, though. That's kind of where I'm at.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like it would add up, right?
The what?
I mean, it seems like that would add up, right?
I think so, yeah.
Around that time.
Yeah. I'm excited to keep going with this one. And I do eventually, probably not in the span of 2 months, but I do eventually want to get all the way through all of these. I feel like the game is more than, or the series more than deserves it. I have a message coming through here. Do you guys mind if I take a second to just read this really quickly? This is sorry. This is from a Dr. Kojima. Okay, sorry guys. This is Dr. Kojima has just completed research and testing to successfully develop human clones. Mark and Matt, it looks like you are his first subjects. Okay, so if you guys are okay with this, I guess we'll begin the cloning process.
I mean,
so Dr. Kojima requires you to pass some basic motor skills tests and then just provide some answers to some questions critical to the manifestation of the clone's personality. I think yeah. Okay, so can you guys both just raise your right hands first for me, please?
Boom. Up.
my right or your right?
You're right. All right, motor skills seem to check out. That's very good. Can you place your hand in front of your face, not quite touching your nose?
Boom. Done.
Okay.
All right, great.
Hand
Can
in
you
face.
smack that hand with your left hand?
I mean, I can, but I'm not going to smack myself in the face.
I will reinforce the right hand while hitting it so it doesn't move as much.
Okay, well, you both passed that test. Good. You're not idiots. Very good. So you've completed the basic motor skills functionality. It looks like our first test will be performed separately. Matt, you're up first. So, Mark, I would like you to remove your headphones. We're going to give you the thumbs up when the test is completed so that you can return.
I am removing the headphones now.
All right. All right, he's off. Now, Matt and listener, I apologize because I'm going to be doing some typing. Matt, we're going to play a little word association here.
Oh, boy.
So I'm going to read a word from Kojima's list here, and I want you to tell me the video game that first pops into your mind when hearing this word, and I will write it down quickly.
The last time we did this, I think I said Metal Gear Solid for almost everything, so this could be interesting.
Maybe. And this is, I want gut reaction first, like, boom, what is it?
Okay.
Are you ready?
All right.
Blue.
It's Sonic and All-Stars Race and Transform. I was thinking of water. Don't know
Oatmeal.
why. Oatmeal?
Oatmeal.
Final Fantasy.
Thomas.
Huh?
Thomas.
There a Thomas the Train Engine game?
Okay. Germs.
Oh, one of the, what's that shit? What are one of those disease simulator games?
Or like Pandemic? Or
Yeah, like one of those.
Match.
Oh, Metal Gear Solid 3 specifically.
Flour.
Flour.
Biscuits.
I'm gonna say Gran Turismo 7.
Okay. Gold.
Gold. Like another. I don't know. Final Fantasy. I keep thinking of currencies.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Trip.
Gran Turismo. Now it's on the head now.
Surprised that wasn't Final Fantasy 15. Hurt.
Hurt. Elden
Hurt.
Ring.
Alive.
Like Resident Evil. We'll say 4.
Broken.
Elden Ring.
Fun.
I should say Elden Ring again, but Dota.
False. Inside.
I Inside. Sorry, that's just too
Monster.
like a Resident Evil again.
Daddy.
So weird. What's that dad simulator? With that the dad dating simulator?
Never. Dream Daddy.
Yeah, never played it, but
Skate.
Tony Hawk.
Clown.
Oh, Twisted Metal.
Teenager.
Bully.
I was thinking Twisted Metal. Thump.
I don't even know. Like Not like literally nothing came to mind here. Thump.
Leave it blank.
If we do Elden Ring, Thump. Sure.
Okay. Press.
Metal Gear Solid 2, for sure.
And shoe.
Trying to think of a racer. That's not Gran Turismo. We'll say Sonic.
Very good. Dr. Kojima appreciates your cooperation.
Okay. How many were there? That was a lot.
I don't know, more than I probably should have done, but that's where we're at. All right. Welcome back, Mark. Matt, we're going to ask you to remove your headphones.
Get the hell out of here.
Removed now.
All right, Mark. So this is you're going to be read a series of words, and I want you to tell me the first video game that comes to mind.
Oh, crap.
I know. Are you ready? First word, blue.
Sonic.
Oatmeal.
Overcooked.
Thomas.
I'm sorry? What?
Thomas.
Wow, I'm only thinking of Tank Engine, but that's not really a game. Animal Crossing.
Germs.
Oh no, that's a board game. Crap. I was thinking of Pandemic.
They did make that an actual video game.
Okay. Does that count?
That counts, yeah. Match.
Literally any wrestling game. But the WWE came to mind. Just whatever the latest one is.
Okay. 2K. Flour. Biscuits.
Cooking Mama.
Gold.
Golden Sun.
Trip.
Kirby.
Hurt. Oh, you have a specific Kirby? Sorry.
Oh, no, I mean, I didn't know if specific title mattered.
It's fine.
Hurt?
Hurt.
Metal Gear Rising.
Alive.
I am alive.
Broken.
Devil May Cry.
I thought you were going to say Sonic 06. Fun.
Bomberman.
Inside.
The Inside?
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. These are all names of games, too, so that's what I'm thinking of immediately.
Well, if that was the first thing, yeah, we'll put that inside. Monster.
Okay, I see what you're doing here. Monster Rancher. I almost wanted to say Hunter after that one, but I didn't.
I always, yeah. Daddy.
Who's your daddy?
Skate.
Ollie World.
Clown.
Twisted Metal.
Teenager.
Ninja Turtles.
Thump.
The Tycho games.
Oh yeah. Press.
Sorry, what was it?
Press.
Wow, that game is actually not coming to mind with press. You know what? I'm just gonna say Half-Life.
And shoe.
Sonic again.
Dr. Kojima appreciates your participation and cooperation in this cloning test. It seems that the results have been skewed and tampered with, and only the results of your word associations that match are lining up. These results are going to dictate the future of video games, and the next game that Dr. Kojima will be able to produce. It looks like both of you said pandemic when thinking of germs. Both of you thought flower when thinking of flower. Both of you thought inside when asked inside. Both of you thought twisted metal when thinking of clown.
I was concerned about that one.
And both of you thought Sonic when thinking of shoes.
Yeah.
I was going to do something else with the results of this, but I didn't know which direction to go. I was going to have you do a round 2, take your headphones off, and then you've got to do a lightning round of pairs. Does that make sense?
Of pairs?
So, like, Matt's first 2, I would have Matt take his headphones off again.
Okay, keep going.
Matt's first 2 were Sonic and All-Stars and Final Fantasy, and then have you pare it down from there. But I don't know what the point of that would have been other than just doing it. So this was more to see, because I feel like what happens sometimes with Lightning Round is you guys end up not influencing one another, but like one of you beats the other one, so it's kind of like done. I felt like this would be a way to...
That's interesting.
I'm surprised you had that many matches. The pandemic one, I'm shocked that we matched the pandemic one there.
Like, were you also thinking of the board game?
Yeah, I was thinking of the... I don't think Pandemic's the name of it on phone. I had a phone simulator, but I couldn't think of the name of it, so I just kind of went with Pandemic because I knew I was on Game Pass at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one. I don't know what else to do with these results. I'll see if there's something we can do at some point. Yeah. But I think we've started to create the personality for the clone.
I'm thinking of like
as we move forward.
A flower with a clown face and some rad shoes spreading germs.
I think that would, yeah.
That's your new
sounds like the next Twisted Metal game. That doesn't sound like it.
Yeah. Or the next Sonic game, depending on how things shake out.
Whatever replaces Hammerhead, I'm here for it.
We are in our final 4 of the ongoing segment of the month. Who would win in a fight? Sidekick edition. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here so Matt and Mark can see and play along. For listeners, our final 4 are Luigi, 9S, Paula, and Tifa. I almost hung up this call instead of hitting share screen. So there
okay,
we go. Okay.
Ottacon's not in. We didn't make it. I was going to say, can we do a last minute switch and replace Ottacon with Snake? Because I think Ottacon's more of a main character. Snake's more of a sidekick.
Yeah, at this point. Now, Tifa kicked him in the face a few weeks ago. No, last week. That was last week.
Took his milk money.
Yeah. All right. Let's do this thing. It's Luigi versus 9S. Who's the better sidekick? And who would win in a fight?
I don't know. I've been arguing for 9S this entire time, but my gut says Luigi.
Ooh. What's making you think Luigi over 9S in this case?
I don't know. I think being away from this for a week and just realizing like it's Super Mario Brothers. Like just it's in the name.
And think about this, right? This all comes back to you. Comes back to you, Matt. Excuse me.
Oh God, what did I do now?
One word. Lugu.
Oh.
Or maybe that's 2 words.
No, it's 1 word of mine. That's how I spell it.
Yeah. So a sidekick even has a sidekick. You know?
Oh, a sidekickception.
Yeah,
I know
see,
that's your
look at
favorite
that.
thing. I know that's your favorite.
Yeah, I love those. Yeah, I mean, heck it.
Like,
I don't know.
here,
Luigi's
I
just
think
done so much.
when you think of like, now I don't think this determines if he's better or not, but when you think like poster boy for a sidekick, like I think Luigi fits the poster boy
Tails didn't
perfectly.
make it, but
I was gonna say, yeah, I think Tails, but yeah, I think.
Well, Tails
I think
isn't in the
Luigi's right
final
there.
4. 9S killed that poor child.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess Luigi would be my second choice.
Yeah.
It's just the the events towards the end of Nier Automata shake up the sidekick dynamic a little bit. Luigi, again, poster boy, Super Mario Brothers. That's why I'm leaning Luigi.
All right.
Yeah.
Luigi advances into our final round. And he'll face the winner of Paula and Tifa.
Paula.
Why Paula?
You literally is like, come on.
Here's the thing. Paula, not so much on the offense. She was able to counter the greatest form of evil and horror and deception. However, does that make her the better sidekick?
Yes, because the main character would not prevail unless he had the sidekick. And there is no way around that fight.
Sounds like Paula's the protagonist.
Yeah.
In another world, she very well could have been, but nope, we started with Ness and being bullied by that fat kid. I forget his name. What's his name?
Oh.
Anyway.
If you had said who was the kid in Earthbound, I would have gotten it, but I think the lead into like bullied by that fat kid, now I can only think his name is Porky. That's it.
Yeah.
Or Pokey and Porky. All I could think of was fat kid, and I was like, yeah, his name is Fat Kid, dude. All right, so we think Paula. Mark, any objection to Paula?
So I'm still not too familiar with the story beats in Earthbound, but like, what are the bonds like between those characters? Is there like a legitimate like friendship or like camaraderie between them? Is there just like little bits of dialogue that just shows how connected they are?
I think you get some of that.
Is there like flashbacks
Ness,
like, hey, I'm glad you're my best friend?
Isn't Ness drawn like he
she calls out.
Right. He's drawn by the psi whatever.
Yeah, she uses kind of like not telekinesis, but some sort of
right. He's not like sent out to find her. It's not like a quest like, oh, you should go find her because she's knows. She calls out and then they kind of just travel together from there because
telepathy. That's what it is. She uses telepathy to reach out to him. He finds her, frees her from the prison she's in. She joins the party, and then
first party member too.
Yeah, she's the very first party member. In the end, like back after everything's said and done, like she's definitely the one that Ness seems to want to be around, rather than like not that Jeff or Pooh aren't, but it's definitely like Ness and Paula are more aligned.
Because like Keith and Paul have some similarities here in terms of like gameplay style and just being in a turn-based RPG and being combative, whatever. But I still think Tifa has a stronger bond with Cloud than Paula does with Ness.
I agree with that.
Like, if the world was ending and stories like where like the planet's dying because of energy, whatever.
Well, story beats in both games go that way.
Right.
The planet's dying.
I just, I'm still thinking about that constant like flashback between Tifa and Cloud, and then
up on the
and then where they are now, and then that's all I'm more exposed to, I guess, out of this fight.
I don't know. It's weird because Paula. I mean, you ultimately need Paula. I guess I'll just leave it at that. You ultimately need Paula. But
evil.
like, you know what? Like, Paula's more comparable, like directly in Final Fantasy VII, especially to Aerith.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So she's just not gonna make it.
Because, but like, in terms of like their importance to helping, characters achieve their end goals, like Paula and Aerith actually have a very similar common thread, minus a death. So
right. They're definitely more of like a mandatory character.
Tifa, I guess it's how do you view this, right? I guess we're at the like, does their necessity, that's the word I'm looking for, does their necessity dictate a better sidekick, or does the bond dictate a better sidekick? Because if you can answer that question, that answers who wins between Tifa and Paula. I think that's the core of our issue here. Paula's a necessity. Tifa, not necessarily a necessity, but...
Well, but would Cloud be Cloud if he didn't have the childhood relationship with Tifa?
That is a very complicated question to answer.
I know.
On a lot of different levels with Cloud.
No, I know. Oh, okay. I know. Yeah. I don't know.
I think I don't care which way we go, but like I think if you answer that question, is it the bond that makes a better sidekick, or the necessity? Yeah. That's how you determine your winner.
Well, I think bond overpowers necessity, or else Luigi wouldn't have won.
I agree. Like, Luigi made it forward because of... You don't need Luigi. They've proven it. Luigi went out and had a mansion on his own.
Like, usually with a sidekick...
Mario.
True.
Because like, usually with like a sidekick, that sounds more casual than professional. Like, they're not hired to be with you, like they're choosing to be with you. Kind of thing. Like there's no there's no business transaction here. There's something there that's not inspired by money or something like that, you know? Like I feel like there's some type of mutual gain from each other. There's some type of camaraderie that's pretty strong. So I feel like bonds is a little more important. They're up there with each other, like almost pretty even, but I would put bonds just like a little notch higher.
Should have watched. I'm so committed to the multiverse of Final Fantasy here. I should have sat down and watched Advent Children before this.
Dilly dally, shilly shally.
I know 7 pretty well.
Tifa says that to Cloud. Cloud's like, "Oh right, I'm a fucking idiot. I need to stop being an idiot and save the town." All because of that one little word. Phrase.
I feel like I should play Crisis Core, but that's beside the point. My
vote goes to Tifa.
And I feel like Matt's vote goes to Paula, which means I've got to step in and be that guy.
See, because like Paula's only good against the enemies in the game, but like if they're going to fight each other again, Tifa's just going to punch her right in the face. She can't defend that. I don't care how psychic she is.
I think as a better sidekick, I think I'm leaning Tifa.
Now I'm watching it. I'm going to play Earthbound. I'm like, you know what? I was wrong.
It's fine. That's what we do. So that brings us to our final round. Luigi versus Tifa.
So, remember everything I just said about Tifa, and I sounded pretty serious about it. So, obviously, I'm still going to not go in that direction, because Luigi.
Yeah. Matt, how do you feel about Luigi versus Tifa?
Yeah, yeah.
And would Paula being up here have made a difference, or would it always have been Luigi?
No, I think it always would have been.
Oh no, Paula would have. Paula was my winner from the moment I saw her name pop up on this list.
Wow.
I'm just saying, there's no more sidekick to be had if they're not alive. But in terms of the matchup we have in front of us, I mean, it's gotta be Luigi, right?
I think so.
Like, it spans all these games. Tifa, I mean, there's a lot of Final Fantasies, and she's only in a fraction of them. A small fraction at that now. We've
Mark,
seen...
would you have said Paula would have edged over Luigi?
No.
So we would have been at the same impasse. It would have been a harder impasse, too.
I mean...
there's been more... I think there's been more lightning in Final Fantasy than there has been Tifa.
Yeah, probably.
Or no, wait, she's not in 2. Right, she's not in 2.
Yeah, and they're both in the Dissidia... Actually, no, Tifa's in both Dissidia games. Lightning's only in Duodecim.
Oh. I forgot about the Dissidia, all that stuff. I was thinking mainline.
Man, you should play the Dissidia games.
You
should play those, and Mark should play Theater Rhythm. Done.
That terrible, terrible UI game. That's the one you're talking about, right?
I don't remember it being that terrible.
It just looks like a hot mess every time I watch that game in action.
What?
Although that's what I said.
No. I'm so sorry. Not NT. Not the one that was on PS4. I'm talking about the PSP ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, the Kingdom Heart lights.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's what I said about 15 for the longest time. It looked like a hot mess on screen, but
if 2021 taught
perfect.
us anything, it's that
perfect.
You shouldn't trust your assumptions.
And like, here's another thing for Luigi. Yes, obviously we're gonna go with like one of the oldest, biggest icons is gonna be the winner, in my opinion. No surprise there. But like, if you really think about it, yes, he doesn't share the screen sometimes like Tails, and just can't be there for you like that in that instance. But if you think about Super Mario World or something, Super Mario Brothers 3, and you can take your turns clearing different levels, you're kind of still helping each other out.
True.
In the bigger grand scheme of things.
I don't know if Super Mario 3 does it, but Super Mario World, you can also split lives. So in a way, Luigi could give up lives to Mario.
That's right.
I had that argument in my back pocket in case I needed it.
Luigi can sacrifice himself and still make it out.
So we had 9S versus Luigi. What would have been the hypothetical if it was Tails and Luigi?
Ooh. Man, I feel like Tails would have won. For me.
Yeah, like... I like what Tails stands for. I don't think it's always executed greatly, though. Because if you want Tails...
Sonic games, that's why.
Well, it's like if you want Tails to be there for you, you have to stop and let him be there for you. And that's just like the opposite of what that game is. So it's a weird trade-off. Unless, I mean, even with a player two, you're just like, yeah, sorry, screw you, camera's following me, buddy, and you try to catch up, and you just leave your player two behind. Which I guess you could maybe kind of do that in New Super Mario Brothers. Just one of you turns into a bubble the whole time as you're just running through. But yeah, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say I like Tails as an icon, but I think Luigi has a stronger foundation.
Yeah.
Joe still has the bracket up on our screen, and I completely forgot that Ashley was on this list.
Oh yeah, dude, we had some
anti-sidekick.
The burden.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Leon.
Yeah, we had some good ones. Because mild spoiler alert, but I think there are a lot of characters that were on our bracket that end up in games we're going to play throughout the year that we haven't talked about yet, that you guys haven't touched yet. So I'm curious, and myself too, I haven't touched any of these. I'm curious to revisit this bracket in like December and see if we would have changed anything.
Can't wait to play the big old spin-off game Daxter.
Ah, man, we should have put that on the list.
I've never played that. I never had a PSP. That was so I missed out. I missed out on Peace Walker initially as well. Portable Ops. Probably would have played that if I had a PSP.
Is there also Metal Gear Acid?
Yep.
Yeah, they're a little bit different though. Portable Ops and Peace Walker play more like traditional Metal Gear Solid. Acid had like a turn-based thing to it, I think, or like a card system. It was something. I don't think it was bad. It was different.
Right.
Matt, Mark, Metal Gear Solid 1 has one of video games' greatest game over screens. Metal Gear Solid 2, not so much. What video game has the best game over screen? Or what are some great game over screens in the history of game over screens?
I think I know Matt's answer.
You and your friends are dead. Game over.
That might be the best one.
And not even... I mean, I know Angry Video Game Nerd had his whole bit on that, right? And that's how I got exposed to that for the first time. But no, seriously, just escaping that whole bit. That is a great... Like...
No, I've never seen his thing. I remember, like, when emulation first became a viable thing and trying things out, and you find out there's a Friday the 13th game, and I played that, and then, like, it's so weird and obtuse that you die pretty easily, and that is the screen you get. Like, that ruled. It's a cool game over screen.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but I like the Arkham series.
Yeah, those are good.
When the villain just insults you.
Yeah, leans down over your dead body.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like, just recently I played through some Beavis and Butthead on Genesis. And that one, it just shows Beavis and Butthead in hell wearing their Whataburger costumes for some reason. Or a uniform, I should say, not a costume, whatever. And, yeah.
The metaphor.
Yeah, that's a pretty fun one.
This is a little bit weird, and maybe addresses the question in a different way, but it's not a good game over screen, because you just see it a lot. But like something in like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, more recent, but any of those games, I think just the amount of times you see a game over at certain segments, that when you persevere or when you get like the enemy felled or boss defeated, like it makes that screen so much better.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess that leads into another one of my questions is like, do we need game over screens? And in that case, I think that's a pure, clean, easy, viable reason to have a game over screen, right? To make that much more of an impact when you don't get game over.
I guess it depends on the type of game too. Because like even Resident Evil, you'll just get munched on, and then it'll say "You are dead," just written in blood. And, like, it's cool, but it's like, all right, like, yeah, game, no shit. Like, of course I'm dead.
Yeah.
And that's when I like Half-Life or Portal, where as soon as you die, the screen just goes red, and then you hear just, like, a flatline beep just going the whole time until you hit a button or until it reloads. Or, like, Hotline Miami, where there is no game over screen. It's just hit R to restart as soon as the second you're dead.
Yeah, which I've come to appreciate that in some modern games.
Yeah.
When you think about a game over screen, like the alternative from a programming standpoint would be like more than likely a game over state is probably driven, depending on the game, by like death or loss of, whatever, right? But then like either the stuff is just going to freeze on the screen because the program has now come to an end because the programming told it to stop running because there's no more player character, or one reason or another. So in that sense, having a game over screen made it something like a next stage. You could change the game state to then move to the next game state.
I like a lot of like old school Capcom is pretty good with their game overs or continue screens, like Street Fighter, right? You're just all bloodied and beaten up, and then if you don't choose, or if you do choose to get back up, then you're all clean again. Or if Final Fight, you're tied to a chair with a bomb in front of you, and you have to try to like blow out the bomb in time or something, like, or is it Shinobi or Ninja Gaiden? There's like one where there's like a buzzsaw coming down as the counter's going down. I believe it's a ninja laying there, but
it sounds more like Ninja Gaiden than it does Shinobi, just like thematically, but I could be wrong. Yeah, that's really good.
Not best, but one that's weird and worth mentioning in Symphony of the Nights.
Man, I love the whole game over sequence in Symphony of the Night. Just is so good. I've revisited that a lot lately as the PlayStation core has gotten more mature in the Mister, and just like I usually would let my sessions end with game over because it's so good. And for a while the PSX stuff was in development, we didn't have CD audio, so it was like interesting to see how things played out with or without it. You get Alucard flying into the air, becoming blood, screaming. Then the melting of the screen to that dead cow, I guess, is the dead bull of some kind. And then just game over in a very gothic font.
Yeah, you
haunting...
go from castle to Midwest Texas to
That's so
game over.
It's so
what?
good.
Another, I guess, factor to maybe consider is music. Do you prefer a game over screen to have music? Because all of Sonic's, I don't feel as bad when that music plays. It's like it sucks, but at the same time, it's like low key comforting.
Yeah, it's the game over music, but it doesn't hurt.
Unless it's like the 50th time that you failed this level.
I was gonna say the comfort music usually that makes it. It's like it's like
could be torture
later.
Like
twisting the arm a little bit on just adding more to it. It's like I'm not calm. I just lost. I'm not. This is not helping. I think Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy VII did that to me a lot. That little game over, that little chime thing they have with the sword.
With the sword in the ground. Yeah,
I did like that with A Link to the Past. If you like fell over and it was a game over, it would just play that like soft little like chimey music as you're just laying there face down.
Yeah, that was good. Was it? It wasn't Zelda 1. It was Zelda 2 that has Ganon as the game over screen.
Oh,
right?
that is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any game over screens you absolutely hate?
I'm sure there's a few.
I can't think of anything. Right now, right on the top of my head.
I guess that's a positive thing.
You know what? I don't care for the Resident Evil ones after a certain amount of time. Like, I mean, the later games is fine, but like the older ones where it just has the "You are dead" that's just written across the whole screen, and I just gotta watch that. Like, I don't care for it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I hate it, but I can do without it.
I guess my thing with game over screens, I guess I don't really mind them. It's the length. If I can't skip it, like if it's too long, like let me get back into it. Let me now I understand some of them boot you, like especially older games, like the aforementioned Final Fantasy VII, Symphony of the Night. Like, yes, they boot you out to the main menu, so like I guess they can be a little bit more elaborate with it. But like I appreciate. I mean, I don't appreciate seeing a game over screen, but like I appreciate the effort put into it. But like, all right, at some point you gotta let me like get me out of it. Yeah. I'm ready to go again.
Yes, and the 64 is notorious for this. Banjo-Kazooie, if you fail, it's just a whole cutscene of Gruntilda winning, which is cool, and you can skip it. I think. Pretty sure you can. But like having to pop up every time is a little whatever, but it's not nowhere as much of a crime as it is with Majora's Mask. Because that one,
watching the moon.
Because you have to play through all 3 days and then learn that you suck and then watch that whole cutscene of everything dying. So it's like, yeah. So that one, it's the longest game over screen ever, and it's the most brutal. And I don't think you could skip it.
No, that might be the ultimate game over screen of all game over screens. Our final segment this week, we sometimes, as we talk about these older video games, look towards how to modernize them. I'm curious, are there any modern features you would add to Metal Gear Solid 2 that you think could improve it?
Oh man, I got a list.
Before Mark hops into his list, I would like the being able to rotate the camera. It's the big shell is very hard early on until you get the actual mini map up, because it's very hard to see some of those guards on some of those different camera angles and things like that.
Yep. Even unless you're like swapping between first person and stuff, but even then it's
it's not great, because that would be my next thing, is a dedicated like. Have you ever drawn your gun to the side that you did want to shoot and then be stuck? Like you have to unequip the weapon.
Usually my go-to with that was keep holding square down, let go of R1 to get out of first person, hold R2.
Yeah, it's not great. So yeah, like a dedicated more, I guess, like shooting, like aiming system or whatever. And I understand, like, it's third person and it's like, you know, like a static camera or whatever. I understand why they had to probably go that way at the time. But like Metal Gear Solid 5, which is like, has both these things: the move the camera wherever, it's behind the back third person, and dedicated aiming system. Like, it's so good, and there's so much stuff you can do when it's dedicated like that as well. That's very nice. And Metal Gear, actually, I take that back. Metal Gear Solid 4 starts to incorporate a little bit of that stuff too.
Mark, what's the list?
Autosave.
Oh,
yeah.
No, that's it. No. Like, I think it's just more so with the controls overall than anything. Like, I think a lot of the game is fine. Yeah. Yes, Matt.
A pause during the cinematic. You can't pause during cinematics, which is a problem in this game because they're so long.
I think you could in the first one, right?
Yes, I think.
But this one, I like did it and skipped it, so I ended up reloading.
2 and 3 do not let you do that.
Yeah, it stinks.
Sorry,
I think no, you're good. Some of this is going to be like just like controller input swapping around too.
Yeah,
like I think L2 to aim, R2 to shoot is the thing. Like I think it should be more like that, where like instead of holding R1 to go into intrusion mode or whatever. So it's like, all right.
Did they change that later on, Matt? In like 4 or 5? Aiming and shooting?
8. The controls for 2 and 3 are very similar. 4 is when it goes more like third person, where you can move the camera around on your own.
Yeah.
So 4, you kind of start to get introduction. 5 is very well fleshed out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and then I think like doing all your item swapping or whatever should be assigned to the D-pad. So like left and right would be your like recovery items, and up and down would be your weapons.
Oh yeah, and do it like let it die. How that cycles through, or there's something else.
Yeah. Waypoints.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, or maybe it's a little more okay with it. I can't remember, but I think all like the melee stuff should be one button. I don't think square should be the grabs or chokeholds. I think it should be tied to the circle button with the CQC, because I want to hold in circle to do a chokehold, and then just tap circle to do like melee stuff or whatever. Like, if you just assigned all the melee to just one button, but then just depending how you press it or how long you press it, can determine what Snake does instead of trying to separate it. Because to me, squares shoot. I'm not thinking melee. I'm thinking guns.
Yeah, that some of that can be very disorienting, especially like in the heat of it when you're trying to maneuver. Same thing, like that's also like how to throw a grenade or different things, and then the triangle action button is other things. The interactive.
Sure, and then like if R2 is shoot, then square would be reload, I guess, or something. Now that's all for the control stuff. I think snapping to cover like gear style would probably be would feel a little better for me, even though I do appreciate its articulation with how sensitive you move to things and how Snake reacts or Raiden, like how you react to walls and whatever. But like, or maybe I just gotta get used to it. But like, I think just something about, instead of like having to like I guess hold back, right? Because I feel like to be up against a wall, if I could just hit a button and just snap to it, and then worry about moving the control stick other ways.
Yeah, that gets finicky too. With like when you start to peek and you want to aim while peeking, and then you realize you're not in cover anymore when you get out of it. Like, it's not great. Because
with a lot of modern games, like, I'm thinking like Splinter Cell or like the Arkham games, where it's like I just want to snap to a corner, wait for someone to come by, and wait for that takedown button like prompt to happen, and just like grab them and whatever. So I think it's just a little like more of that type of stuff. That's it.
I guess going the other way, are there any features in Metal Gear that could make modern games better? First thing I can think of is first person death animations. There was one point where I was trying to do the aforementioned. I gotta stop saying aforementioned. I've used it like 3 times in this show. But I was trying to back out of aiming at somebody so I could get back into cover, and I got killed in first person, and it the screen just kind of shatters like you got shot in the face, or like a camera shot.
Right.
And then you die. But yeah, I think more things like that.
I don't know. I like how this game moves and navigates. Is that weird to say? Like, I like how quick your character can just run through halls.
Yes. And you're not running, you're just moving.
Right, you're just like briskly, like it's like a jog, but it's like a quick jog. And it's weird.
Yeah, and you don't have to like press anything extra. You don't need to engage a stick to run.
Right, like going down the steps is also just super neat and quick and efficient and realistic. I'm like, yes. And the whole time I'm thinking, why couldn't OG Resident Evil feel like this?
Yeah.
You are a trained soldier. You are, you're in stars, and yet I get it. Survival horror, it's supposed to be tanky. You're supposed to feel useless. But again, you have combat experience. You should be moving like Snake throughout the mansion.
Yeah. And they've remade those games now, and you still move not as, slowly, but
the whole time I was just thinking, just like the characters in Metal Gear, you're riding in Snake, like you move so fluently, and everything just feels so nice like that. And just like going through all the different buildings and how it labels it for you. Every time you go into a room, it tells you what room you're going into. You're not trying to guess like what square on the map you're in. and you have to write it down or something like, oh, okay, this is the dining room. Now it tells you what floor you're on or something on a tanker. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Matt, was there anything else?
No, I mean, it's just, you don't see much attention to detail like this game has. Even like I mean, we can go back to that E3 demo where they show how the glass shatters and the ice cubes melt and the magazines go off one by one. It's not just like a texture or something dumb. Like just that small stuff, but then it leads to like gameplay things. Like, I go back to the early on. There's in the tanker and like the underground part. This bigger section. There's a dude that has flies all around him because he shit himself. If you CQC him, you smear shit on you, and the flies follow you, and that becomes a bad thing because flies are flying around you, trying to sneak around and navigate.
Everything's interconnected.
Yeah, it's like, the dumb like glass shatter and stuff, like that's cool, but like that once you kind of bring that to like level design and stuff like that, it starts to impact how you play the game in ways. And I don't know, I guess games do. I mean, games obviously pay attention to detail and have a level of detail now. I don't know. It feels different.
Yeah, but they don't.
It hits different in the Metal Gear games, especially.
It does. Like, there's an extra layer of it here that's not there. Like, I'm playing Ghostwire Tokyo now, and that one has, I think, some pretty good detail to it, where when you end up somewhere, when you're in a room, when you look at something, there are things to interact with, there's things to whatever, like, stopping and looking to see, like, what's on a corkboard, and, like, some of the things as I'm looking around, I'm noting that, like, okay, this is the same exact basket with a bag of chocolate in this room as there was in a different hospital room, and the likelihood of two workers in different parts of an office having the exact same basket. Okay, that's not likely, but like it does feel a little bit more real and lived in. That, like, yeah, I think Metal Gear has that, where unique posters in lockers, there's like the like physics on fruit and stuff that's just like laying around, like all of those little tiny things. I'd say that like Ghostwire is one of the rare exceptions in a modern game, but what was it? Something else I was playing recently where you're just like running through a town or an area or something, and you get to your destination, and then you're like, or not destination, I don't know what I'm saying. You're just like trying to explore and seeing like, oh, you know what? There's a corner of that map over there. I should go check that out because they programmed it to be there. And you go there and there's nothing there. It's a dead end. There's
Sounds
barely
like Halo
anything
Infinite.
to recognize, and it's like, why did you waste your time programming that? Why did I waste my time going to that corner? Where this, I felt like anytime I've gone out of my way to explore something in Metal Gear, it paid off. Even if it was just like a dumb curiosity, or just like, okay, there's whatever, like there's something neat.
Yeah, to echo all that, yeah, like the little things are big things in this game. Like everything matters, and you do get like oddly rewarded for it in ways you wouldn't expect to be. And like it matters what part of the body you shoot the trank in to determine how long they're knocked out for. Or you never know what kind of poster you're gonna get when you open a locker or close one.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my favorite ones. You close a locker, it's just like one of the guys just like give it like a thumbs up or something.
And then, but like, so there's like that dumb stuff, but the next level of that is like if you take pictures of that and send it to Otacon as part of your submission for the pictures of Ray, like Otacon acknowledges that and is like, Snake, what are you doing? We don't have time for, like, it's aware, and like it's weird. Like the game's aware at all times, which that sounds dumb to say, but it's just constantly aware. And then like there's different codec things. Like if you're in a certain area and you call a certain person, or like the codec call will go a certain way to like call you out on what you're doing or something. Like I don't know. It's wild. I don't know. Like I said, it just games can pay attention to detail and stuff like that, but it's just something about these games, and I'm saying this for all of Metal Gear, but like 2 and 3, like it's different in these games.
Yeah. All I wanted out of Animal Crossing,
I know.
just wanted to be acknowledged for my details. Kind of sarcastic, but I really wanted the villagers to actually be like fully aware of what you're doing and that you exist. You know, like I actually wanted, yeah, like Otacon pays attention. Why can't my villagers do that?
Yeah, and I think it's also especially impressive that this is all happening on a PS2. But yeah, I mean, modern games with seemingly endless possibilities don't do as much as this did, which I know it's much more complicated to make video games than ever, but there's definitely things that just you don't see anymore like this.
And it all works with that visual style too. Like,
yeah,
nothing feels out of place with that. And I love how they like kind of kept it consistent.
We're going to keep things consistent and end this show like we end every show this season with the ranking of Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. If you want to follow along with all of our ranking, you can check it out over at thefreecheese.com/thelist. Every week, as we talk about these games, we put them on the list. I'm gonna say it. I think this one goes at number 2.
I was I was gonna ask, does this defeat Wii Sports, the almighty god?
I don't think it goes above Wii Sports, but I do think it goes above Portal 2 for me.
I don't think I can defend that. Even though I remember specifically saying Portal 2 is like the best example of a sequel to a video game.
Yeah, but this somehow, I don't know.
I think it goes under Portal 2.
Really?
My only gripe, I mean, I love this. I love how weird these games get. I love it. But this story, by the time you get to the end of this game, I don't want to get into it's too spoiler territory, but I just know you guys didn't quite get to the end. But like, there is a 7-way Mexican standoff, and every other sentence is a, oh, but wait, here's how I double-crossed you. And
I love that.
Like, it escalates in ridiculousness. And I think sometimes what Mark was saying, like, I think the codec just a hair, let me have time to breathe in the gameplay a little bit before the next codec call. And like that, it's bad. It's weird because it goes through, there's like a dip in the valley. Like when you first get to Big Shell, it's bad. It feels like every step you're taking is another codec call. But then it kind of tapers off, but I feel like it starts to come back again towards the end of it. And towards the end of it, you're trying to you're kind of in it, right? You're like, all right, I want to let's progress. But it feels like even though you're progressing with the codec calls, the information you're getting is so dense, but it's so necessary. I don't know. It's
a lot of fun.
I don't know. Portal 2 is a much, I don't want to say it's easier to comprehend, but it's a more straightforward story that is very good. That
very
the dialogue,
intuitive.
I never feel like the dialogue in Portal 2 is ever in my way. And granted, I mean, it's done during gameplay, so I mean that's probably why. But I don't know. I just feel like some of those codec calls, you're just repeating information at me, which again, I can sit. I flip flop on this because I feel like some of that you need the reinforcement, especially as you get to learn what GW is and Arsenal gear and all that other fucking shit that starts going on. But yeah.
I also think it's just more fun to control in Portal 2.
That's fair. Yeah, that does make it, yeah.
It's like, I appreciate Metal Gear for having such a different control layout that you have to adapt and get used to, and it's not like everything else, so it stands out. But there is a little bit of an adjustment that you need to do. Like, you got to unlearn some things.
Yeah. Well, I think that was video games back then too. Is like there was not a standard. Like Call of Duty, its popularity really dictated what a lot of modern games do and how they control. Like, I'm good. You guys convince me. I say, okay. Let me ask this: is Guitar Man still below it, or do we think Guitar Man is over Metal Gear 2?
I think I have Metal Gear above Guitar, but I'm not gonna shoot you guys down if you had an argument.
No, I think it stays at number 3.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I just figured
Metal Gear. I mean,
yeah,
it's weird though. Now, like after playing these though, if I had 3 on this list, I think 3 goes above Portal 2. I think the story is a little bit more.
That's not. Well, of course, Metal Gear went to 3. They know how to
count. Yeah. Besides that, no, it's a different type of, a little bit different game. Same controls, same style and engine and stuff, but it's a different game, and the story is more brought in. It's a little bit more reined in.
Definitely heard more talk about 3 than
3 is very good. I think 3. I'm glad I went back to play 3 finally, because I think 3 is up there on the top of my list. I think 3 might be my favorite Metal Gear Solid game overall. 5's the best gameplay. 4's the best story. But you need to play the other games to understand 4.
I wanted to close this episode out, knowing that you've played all of them. Just the numbered ones, really quickly. What's your order? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Probably going from best. It's probably it's probably 3, 1, 5, 2. I don't have 4 in there. I guess they're all really good. 3, 1, 5, 2, and 4. But I love 4.
That's funny. Okay. I had just heard recently someone say that only the odd-numbered Metal Gears are good ones.
Oh,
and the fact that you just said, and you just said 3, 1, 5, 2, 4. So that's.
I love a ball. Like I said, it's a tough.
No,
but 4 is the same issue. Like its story, the codec stuff gets in its way too much.
Yeah.
And have 3. Yeah, 3, 1, 5. 5's gameplay is so good. It just sucks that how they deliver the story in that. But that's it's another topic.
Well, thank you for hanging out with us and talking Metal Gear Solid 2 and some other fun things. We're going to come back next week, and we're going to talk all about WWF No Mercy for the Nintendo 64. Let's keep the Matt train rolling. I'm excited to visit this one because I have a very specific memory of this era of wrestling video games, and this was not part of my memory, so I'm curious to see. There were so many. So many wrestling games, and you always ended up with some. Your friends, your neighbors had other ones, and I'm excited. This will be good. You can, of course, check out all the rest of the episodes from this season. You can check out the full list of everything we've ranked so far and see some write-ups we've done for each of those over on thefreecheese.com. Until then, stay well, have fun, play games. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, listener, for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.